Okay, let's continue to work on Lab 8. Before watching this video, make sure you have already tried those exercises by yourself. Let's look at question 4. Write a macro, print first 10 to display the first 10 observations of a dataset. If the dataset has less than 10 observations, display all observations. Okay, so so first we need a dataset. First you need to know how to do that, right? So we want to display the first 10 observations. Let's maybe we use a dataset as a example. So I have some SAS dataset here. Maybe I use this one. I create my library, lab name, my lab. Yeah, so this is employees. So this is a SAS dataset. The location of this library is home, and so data sets for print. So data will be employees, my lab, right? My lab employees. Yeah, so run. Okay, see, it works. Now, okay, display first observations of a dataset. So then you need, I think we discussed, so in order to write the macro, so we will have 3 steps, right? So first steps just to make it work, right? Yeah, so the step 2 will be use macro variable to replace to place the basically the stuff you want to replace later. So what I mean is, yeah, just create define macro variable just for those argument, right? Yeah, and step 3 just finish the macro, right? So finish the macro. Yeah, so let's follow these steps. Step 1, make it work. Yeah, so we have a data set. So now we want to print the first 10 observations. Yeah, so then we just port print. You can just say data my lab employees obs 10, right? Because we just want to print the first 10 observations. So then you run it. Yeah, so it works. Step 2, so use macro variables. Yeah, because so here you can see the variables here, I mean the argument is a SAS dataset, right? So then we will define SAS Lab. So SAS data, right? Yeah, so you just define the SAS data, this macro variable as as this one, right? So as the name of the dataset. So then you just run this one, you copy paste here. So this part just will be replaced by the SAS variable. Yeah, so then you run it again. Seems still works. Yeah, so it works, right? Yeah, so then you know so it works, okay, and so then you just put this inside of a macro. You will see %, print first 10. I think so. This is the name, right? Print first 10. Okay. And in the parentheses, you just write the name of the this argument. So in the end, you will. Oh, sorry. This is defined, right? So you should say macro. Yeah. So then name of the macro, and so then in the parentheses, you write the argument. Then you will say %m and print first 10. Let's try to test it. Okay, percent print first. So the dataset we want to use is mylab.employees. So run it. it says statement is not valid or used out of proper order. What does it mean? Let me check. So what happens? Print first 10. It looks fine. I don't know what happened. So print maybe this part. This is fine. Okay. Oh, print first 10. Yes, print first 10. Yeah. So this is the name of the macro. Then I write. See, it works. Yeah. So usually, so if you want to make sure it really works, and so you need to use a different data set to test it. For example, so here I think so I have another one called donate. So this is another SAS data set, right? So then I will say print first 10, right? So my lab donate 10, okay? You run it. Well, so looks like looks fine. Do I have another one? Well, so no other ones. Yeah, so only 2 of them. Okay. Yeah, but these 2 works. I guess the macro should work. Okay. If the data set less than 10 observations, so display all observations. Will that work? Let me see. What I mean here, so if your data, see, for these 2 data set, right? So employees and donate, because they have more than 10 observations. So we use OBS equals 10. So SAS will display the first 10. If the data set is smaller than 10 variables, maybe we can create a data with smaller size, data small, right? So set my lab employees, right? If n smaller than 5. Yeah, so basically we just create a small one, for example, for print data, small run. So this is a data set with only 4 observations. Yeah, so if we use this macro, so does it work? So let's try small, right? Well, so it works, right? Yeah, so also in the macro, so we specify OBS equals to 10. Yeah, but if it has less than 10 observations, and SAS just display all of them. Okay. Then check this second part. Ask you to display the last 10 observations. Last 10 observations. Okay. How can we do that? So, see, for example, first 3 steps, right? So let me open a different place. We will have first just make it work. Okay, so then we will use a macro variable. Oh. And so then last, so we will write it in a macro. How to make it work? Yeah, so if we use the employee, so this data as an example, right? So in total, we have 500 observations. So last 10, I guess, so should be start from 490, right? See, if you use print data is my lab employees, if you first OBS is 490, right? And so then you run that one. See, SAS will print the last 10. But how can we well, so this is basically one possible solution. So then we may need to replace those. Okay. we will create SAS data, right? So create a macro variable. So let's set this as this one. So then this part name of the dataset will be replaced by this macro variable. Yeah, but how about this value? 491. Yeah, so because this is the value we will use for this particular dataset, right? Yeah, for this particular dataset. For a different dataset, so clearly, so this will be different. Yeah, so then you need to have a way to compute this guy. So how this is computed? Clearly, so this should be the length of, the size of the data. So I will say, so data size, just the total number of observations, so minus 9, right? You can see in total, so we have 500 observations, right? So we use 500 minus 9, so then we got this number. But how to get the size of the data? Well, we can, if we know the data set, so we can do it in this way. Proxical, right? Basically, we just create a macro variable. Yeah, so we will select count. Okay, so into this data size from this dataset SAS data. Right, see, by run the code in this way, so we will create a macro variable, so called data size. So let's check that. Print data size is data size. So if we run this one, 500, right? So the size of the data is 500. Oh, okay, so you use trimmed. So we want to remove that extra space. 500. So this works. Yeah, so then for this one, I use and. Invalid option -9. Oh, okay, so you need to evaluate that, right? Yeah, but the SAS cannot basically the whatever here. So this cannot be an expression. Yeah, so you need to evaluate that. So then we will use SAS macro function eval, right? So then basically to evaluate that. So basically to do this subtraction. So then you run this one. Okay, so now it works. So then you can write the macro. Yeah, so then we want to print last 10. SAS data, right? So then end this by end. So print last 10. So then you just copy everything here to here, right? Yeah, so there's no need to print this one anymore. So then you can test this one by print last 10. So my lab employee. Okay, run it. Yeah, so it works. Yeah, but however, so SAS also print this. So this is the output of proxical. We do not want SAS to display this one, so only want SAS to display the last 10 observations, right? Yeah, so then we modify this slightly. We will say no print. Yeah, so SAS will not show the result of the proxical. So let's run it again. Yeah, so seems works, right? So the next, we need to try this one using other dataset, right? So like last 10, for example. So my lab donate, yeah, donate looks fine, right? So SAS displays the last 10 observations. We have another example we can try. So that is the one with only 4 observations. Yeah, so that the name of the data set called small. Yeah, so we run this one. Seems something wrong. Generate -5. So what does this mean? This just because, see, in total for small, this is a data set small, right? Data set small. It has only 4 observations, right? So the size will be 4. See, for here, if 4 minus 9, so you will get -5. So first observation cannot be -5, right? So then how to do that? So essentially, so this just means if the size of the data is greater than 10, right? So this code works. If the size of the data is smaller than 10, so you just need to print all observations, right? So then we modify the macro slightly. So I will use if. So then I compare the data size with 10, right? So if it is greater than or equal to 10, then, right, so then we will ask SAS to do those. Basically, this line and this line and end, right? Yeah, so if size is greater than 10, ask SAS to do those. Else, yeah, so else, so then we will do just print all values. Yeah, so copy paste here. So then I will drop this one. So then we will print all values, right? Then %sign end. Yeah, so after we modify this one, so then it should work, right? See, if the size is greater than or equal to 10, so we print the last 10 observations. So otherwise, else, right? So otherwise, so just means the size is smaller than 10. So I just ask SAS to print all observations. Let's run the macro. Okay, so it's fine. So then try those 3 examples, right? See, this works. So this is the data employee. This works. So this is data donate. This also works for the small data, right? Yeah, so you can check the code, check the macro, right? So we finished question 4. Then question 5, download the following data, so grades. Okay, so we use these grades in many places. Okay, this just will be used as an example, I think. File name, CSV file URL. We use proc print. Data will be not data, proc import. So out is grades. So then we have the data file and will be CSV file, the DBMS, so the CSV, and so we will replace proc print, data will be grades, and run. Okay, so it works. Now, so define a SAS macro, so call it a one-way mean stand, right? So it has 3 arguments. So which create a table with a class variable. So the second argument, so is a row, and so this is the column. So the column includes the sample size, mean, standard deviation of new var. So the third argument classified according to the level of this one. For example, so the following code, so this one is the first one will be the name of the dataset, and then a class variable, right? A categorical variable, and then a numerical variable. So it will generate this code. Again, so to do that, so we will 3 steps, right? So first one, make it work. One, make it work. Okay, so then second, use macro variable. Yeah, so the last step, finish the macro. Finish the macro. Yeah, so first step to make it work. So first was this. So this is created by proc tablet, right? Yeah, so this should be displayed by tablet. Oh, before we move on, so I just realized. So that's seems that's another way to solve this macro. For here, so we just use the if else. I mean to handle the scenario. So when the size of the data is smaller than 10, right? So you may notice. So the only issue is just for this one, right? See, if the size is smaller than 10, so then when you do this one, when you do this, evaluate this one, so this will give you a negative value. Yeah, but however, so in that case, so if you just maybe use a maximum, so what I mean is, so if the value is smaller than 1, so then you just use 1, and so then it should work. So let's try this idea. So what I mean is, see, to indicate they're different, right? So I write a x and x in the name of this in this macro. See, this is a code with some error, right? So the only error is see, when the size is smaller than 10, right? So then this guy will give you a, so this expression will give you a negative number, right? Yeah, but we want the smallest number, so smallest number, so should be 1, right? So then what you can do is, well, so you can just say the maximum of this guy and 1, right? See, if this value is larger than 1, so then it will be this value, right? So if this is smaller than 1, maybe 0 or maybe negative, so then the value should be 1. Yeah, but the max function, we cannot use it here. And so we need to wrap it inside of the this function. Okay, right? Yeah, so this function, so this is used to run the SAS data function in macro facility, right? Yeah, so then let's run this part again with x. So let's see so whether it works or not. Run this one. Okay, see, it works, right? It works. Yeah, so this also indicate usually, so there are more than one way to complete a task. Okay. Yeah, so then let's continue this question. First, you need to know how to do it, right? Yeah, so proctabulate. So the data set is great, and the var variable, so we may use a exam1. So use exam1, right? Then class variable, so this one will be gender. And so then we will have the table gender, comma, right? We want exam1 on the columns, yeah, but we want n, mean, and standard deviation. So we will use we will use this one. So times n mean and standard deviation. Run. Does it work? Why there's no output? Anything wrong? So let's run it again. Okay. Arrow equal. Oh, I missed the data. Data equals this one. So now it works. Yeah, but we may need to modify how it looks. See, gender. So I do not want to display this gender, right? Yeah. So I want to add gender equals empty. Yeah. So then I run it. So now it looks the same as this one. Okay. Yeah. So then this is the first one. So I mean, make it work, right? So then the argument, we have 3 of them, right? So my data, class var, and num var. So we will define 3 macro variable called my data. So will be grade here, and so then we will define class var, right? So here so will be the gender, and so then we will define that num var, numerical variable. Okay, so this will be example 1 here. So for this code, so we just replace the value by the corresponding macro variable. So this should be the my data example 1. So this place should be num variable. We have another place here, right? So will be num variable. The gender here so will be replaced by class variable, and also the gender is here, class variable. So let's run this part. Well, so it works, right? Yeah, so it works. So no error message. So now we can finish the macro. Okay, so macro. So the name is called this one. I just copy here. %sign and so then write the name of this one again. So then you just copy everything here to here. Yeah. So this is a macro. So then we may test it. Grades, not grades. One way. So this one. The first argument is the name of the dataset. So then second will be gender. So then last will be the exam 1. So let me try. Well, so it works, right? So we can try it and use another example. Yeah, for grades for this one, because we have another variable like the department, right? Or maybe exam 2. So let me use a department. And exam 2. So see, it still works, right? It still works. Okay, yeah, so this one works. Adjust your previous code and make sure the following code works. Yeah, so there's no comma between exam 1 and exam 2. Okay, so name of the dataset and the department. So that's the categorical variable. Yes, and so some numerical variable. SAS just shows the summary information for exam 1 and exam 2 directly. So how to modify that? So you need to know how to do, right? Yeah, so essentially we just needed to do we need to modify that? Maybe no, right? See, exam 1, exam 2, so they will be used to replace the numerical variable here and here, right? Probably so we may only need to write a parentheses there. See, we may only need to write a parentheses here. Yeah, and then you run this one. This should work. See, this should work. Yes. Okay. For this one, define a two-way, right? So we have name of the dataset, first categorical variable, second categorical variable, and the numerical variable. Yeah. So then produce the output in this way. Let's open another one. So first, make it work, right? So make it work, and so then macro variable, right? So last one, finish. Okay. So to make it work, so this is a two-way table, right? So then we know, so we will do the proc tabulate data is grades. The var, I mean the numerical variable. So here will be can be exam 1 or exam 2. So exam 1, exam 2. The class variable here, so will be this gender and department, right? Gender and department. So then we will have the table. On the row, we have gender and times department, right? So gender times department. So then column, so just exam 1, exam 2, right? So then times, then we will have the three numerical, three summary statistics. Yeah, so we will have n, mean, and std. So does it work? So let's check. Looks similar. Yeah, so no name here. So then we have, so this equals empty, department equals empty. Yeah, so I put this in the second row. So now it looks the same as this one, right? Yeah, so looks like the same. So then we will define a macro variable. So then we will have let SAS data, right? SAS called my data. Yeah, my data. My data. So here, so will be grades, right? So then the next one will be class var1, class var2, right? Class var1, so is the gender, and the class var2, so that's department. And so then we will have the num var, so this will be exam 1 and exam 2. Okay, so see for this code, so if we replace this by my data, replace this by num var, and also the num var here, this will be the class var1, and also replace it here, class var1, right? Department, this, so replaced by class var2, and so this will be class var2. If we run this one, well, so it works, right? So it works. Yeah, it works. So then we just replace, I mean, we will put this inside of a macro. Yeah, so I will macro. So we want to define is this guy. Okay. Not m, percent sign. Yeah, so the percent sign m and two-way mean std. You just copy those inside here. So then we can test two-way grades, right? So we have gender, we have department, And so we have exam 1, exam 2. Run this one. Seems works, right? We can try it in another way. We just switch order of the department and gender, right? So then for these columns, yeah, so they should be slightly different. Yeah, you can see, so it first classified according to department and then gender. Yeah, so this macro works. Okay. Last question. So download the following file and unzip to get baby name state. Yeah, I think so. I downloaded this already. Yeah, so baby name state. I open it. So the data file. Where's the data file? Oh, it's too large. Okay. See, the variable, so it just has the state, sex, male or female, year of birth, and also the name, number just count of the person with the same name. Okay, so this is the data, right? The data file contains the count of baby name in different state and years. So we only focus on observations, so whose year of birth is 2000 or later in this problem. Yeah, because the whole data is too large. Okay. Notice that the longest name has 15 characters. Yeah, so if you use a prop import, so it is important to set a large number for guessing row. The goal of this problem is to save the original data into multiple files, each file contains the observation for one state for a given year. So the name of the files are in the format of the baby name, then state, then year, and .csv. Create a macro variable for state that contains a letter A and the number of such state. So display the value of the first and the last macro variables for state in the log. So let me remove, close those. Okay. So let's first try to load the data. Yeah, so file name, names, right? So then we'll have, I think I upload the file here. See the baby name state. Yeah, so if you right click and select property, so you will get the location of this file. See, it has 100 megabyte. Yeah. 100 megabyte. I will load that using a data step. So baby names. Okay, and in file, so this will be names, right? First OBS will be 2 because I start from the second row, because the first row is the name of the dataset. The delimiter, so that's comma, yeah, because so this is a CSV file. Then I want to input the first, yeah, I think I've closed that. See, from that Excel file, so you will notice the first variable is a state code. Okay, so then you will have sex, so also numerical. You have the year of birth. I just call it year. Okay, and then you will have the name. But so the name, so sometimes it's short, sometimes it's long, right? So I just specify the length will be 20. Number, yeah, so the number just will be the count. So we only keep, so if a year, so is greater than or equal to 2000. Because the data is large, I do not want to show the contents, so I just use, I do not use proc print, so I use proc contents to check it. Baby names, wrong, right? Okay, yeah, see, that's how many numbers. In total, we have over 1 million observations. Yeah, so those are already, I mean, for those subset, so larger, I mean, so later than year 2000. Yeah, so we load those variables. From here, you can check. So first, several data. Yeah, so I mean, first several rows. Create a macro variable for state that contains letter A. I think so. This basically, I just want you to demonstrate as an example. Okay, yeah. So make sure so you know this way to create a macro variable. So the easiest way to complete this task is we use a proc SQL. Yeah, so we will use proc SQL. So we will select distinct, so state code, right? Those contains A, right? So from baby name, while the state code contain A, right? Yeah, so this is what we want. See, if you run that one, so those are the names, so contains A. So you want to create macro variables for those, right? So then you will have into state one heaven. Yeah, because before you run this one, you don't know how many state are there, right? So you just say state one minus. So then SAS will create macro variables state one, state two, and so on. See, then you will check use put basically to check the state one is state one. Okay, so then for the last one, how can you do it? State the last state is. So basically you need to this end state. So after that, so followed by a number, right? So I think so SAS will create a variable automatically. Let me think. I think so it's just called maybe let me do this first. Okay, put state put number is I think called SEQOBS, I think. Yeah, so not percent sign, M sign. Yeah, so let me run this one. Check the log window. See, this is AK. First one is AK, right? AK, yeah. So see, yes. So this one is a macro variable, so created by SAS automatically, right? Yeah. So then it's 12. So then basically to display the last one, so you just want to have 12 here, right? Yeah. But this 12, so this is essentially the value of SQL OBS, and you need to add another M sign here. So what SAS do is, see, for this one, when SAS read the two M sign together, so SAS will change that to 1. And so then for the remaining tags, right, so like this one, see this tags, SAS just copy here. So then this is macro variable, so will be replaced by the corresponding value, right? Yeah, so basically for this one, becomes this macro trigger. So then state 12 will be replaced by the corresponding value. Let's run it. See, this is WA Washington, right? Yeah. Okay, so this is this question. Create macro variable for year and the number of year. So display the value of the first and the last macro variable for year in the log. Similar, so we just do that for year, right? For year, distinct year into year 1 and let's know this one. Okay. Yeah, so then put year 1 is year 1, then put year last year is empt and year and SQLOBS, right? Yeah, so let's run this one. See, from 2000 to 2015. 2000 to 2015. Okay. Write SAS macro to save the original data into multiple files. Okay. So notice, do you notice one issue? And because see, for the first one, I create this SQLOBS, and so the next one, so I also have this SQLOBS. So this one seems to replace the previous value. Okay, yeah. So then for this number, so then we may want to have another way to get this number, or to get this number explicitly. Yeah, I think so. We can do it in this way. So then I will let the state number equals this guy SQLOBS, right? So then basically I just assign the value of SQLOBS to another one called the state number. So then I will do something similar here. Let year number, right? So then this be this and SQLOBS. Yeah, so I will replace this here, year number. So let's run the whole thing again. Run this one. Okay, so now it works. See, now for this one will be 12. Run this one. Works. Yeah, so then this will be 15. Yes. Yeah, so now it works, right? We want to write those two multiple files. Let me first create a folder for that temp. Yeah, so I want to write everything to this temp. So first we need to make sure so we will able to do it for one case. So we will use the proc export, right? The data just will be the baby names, right? Where, because we just want to the state code. Yeah, so state code, so we want that to be, for example, so we just want that to be the state 1, right? And so the year will be, for example, so we want that to be year 1, right? Yeah, so then this is the data, and so the out file, so then I want that to be the home. This is the temp. Yeah, so in here, so name will be baby names minus, so this is the state 1, right? So also we will have the year state 1, and so the year 1, right? So .csv, yeah, a dbms, so will be csv. We will have replace. We will run that. Okay. Pay attention to here. You must use double quotation mark, so you cannot use single quotation mark. Yeah, because if you use single quotation mark, so SAS will ignore those macros. So we'll just treat this as ordinary characters. Yeah, so you need to use double quotation mark. Oh, see here you need to use 2 dot. Yeah, because if you use 1 dot, so then SAS will think, so this will be, see, for example, so let me print here. See, if you put, right, so if you put, see, this what will be. See, then we do not have this file extension. Before file extension, we need a dot, right? Yeah, but if you only write 1 dot here, so SAS will think, so this is the end of the name of the variable, right? Yeah, so you need to write 2 dot, 2 dot. Yeah, so you write, see, this is the name we want. Yeah, so let's try to run this one to see, so if it works. Export unsuccessfully. So what happened? Unable to open this one. What does this mean? Temporary parameter value will be saved to variable AK is not on this one. Oh, okay. See, because this is AK when SAS replace it, right? So SAS compare that. So what we want is we compare the state code with character string AK. Yeah, so then you need this one, the quotation mark. Yeah, because see, the while statement so should be written as while equals the state code equals AK, right? And year equals 2000, right? You can see this macro triggers only replace the state 1 by AK. Yeah, but if you do not write this quotation mark, so SAS will interpret this as a name of a variable, right? So you need to write quotation mark, and must be a double quotation mark. Yeah, because there is a macro inside it. Okay. So let's run this one. Looks fine. So see, temporary, we have this one. So then next is we want to do this for all state and for all year. And so the state, we have the state 1 to state 12. And for year, we have year 2000. I mean, so year 1 to those different years, right? Then this should be wrapped inside of a macro. Yeah, because save files, but there's no argument. Okay. And save files. So then, because we want to use do loop, okay, we want to use do loop. So do I state goes from 1 to this state number, right? So that's the total number of state. So then we will have end here. Then we will have another do loop. Will be j year. So goes from 1 to, and so will be the year number. So then we will have another and here. So for those things, right? So like this one, so will be essentially will be replaced by the index, right? Yeah. I state, so then you need have another and in front of it. Okay. So similarly, so for this year, you need have another and in front of it. So then I call it J year. So similarly for here, I just replace this guy. This news used to replace this one. And I have an extra dot. Okay. So let's run this, because basically, so I just wrap those in the do loop, right? Yeah. So I run this one. It's extra text on and state. Oh, okay. Yeah, because I write parentheses, so no parentheses of this one. I define the macro variable. So I define the macro. So then I will to run the macro. Oh, to run the macro. Run this one. Well, so seems it's running. See, if you look at here, see, SAS program is running, prog export data step, seems it is running. Yeah, because you can see in the temp, you can see SAS writes all data, right? See, every time, so baby name followed by the state, followed by the year. So SAS save everything here. Well, looks like that's a lot, right? So you can check the log window. Why there's no log window? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but anyway, so SAS works, right? You can see, so you can randomly download one, right? Download one. Yeah, see, those are just the baby name. See, the state is Virginia. So the year, so all of those are 2006, right? See, it matches the name of the file. Yeah. So this is the question 6. Yeah, so you can check the code. If you have questions, and just let me know, okay?